Today's video is sponsored by SBD Play. SBD Play is a free play sports betting website. Each week, you'll receive $500 in virtual money to place bets on the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and MLB contests where you compete against other people to climb the leaderboard. And the top earner of each week will win $500 in real money, and it's risk-free. It's free to play, but with $500 in weekly cash rewards. These are real odds, and it's not a fantasy league. Click the link in the description to sign up for SBD Play. SBD Play, real-time odds with zero risk. It's time we discuss the biggest decision of Giannis Antetokounmpo's career. And before we get to everything, let me just dispel one narrative really clearly, because I don't like how a bunch of these media outlets are coming out and making it sound like Giannis's free agency is this offseason. Let's get something abundantly clear. If the Milwaukee Bucks choose to do so, they could keep Giannis Antetokounmpo under contract for one more year, and then he could walk away in free agency. Pretty much, Giannis is in the same exact position that Anthony Davis was in last year, and we saw Anthony Davis getting traded as a result of it last year. But Anthony Davis also wasn't on a contending team. Anthony Davis was kind of making more of a commotion about not wanting to be on the team that he's on. And to be honest, I believe that both of these stars are in two completely different situations, which is kind of unfair to compare both of these players. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. It's been a while since we last came out with a video, but before we get to the content, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on my notifications. And I'm also live streaming on twitch.tv/TheFlightMike. If you guys want to discuss the NBA and also play some NBA 2K21 with your boy after this video, go down to the description down below, and I will be streaming right now. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Now, guys, look, I want to make something really clear. This video isn't a Giannis is definitely leaving the Milwaukee Bucks video, because that just takes no creativity, that takes very low intellect, and it's a very easy video to make, and it's a very cheap video to make. And I'm not hating on any creators that do it. I just expect a little bit more out of myself as an analyst and an NBA YouTuber. I've been doing this for over a year now, so I think I should give you guys the complete picture, because you need to understand the shoes that Giannis is filling at the moment of this video. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is how Giannis got into the situation that he is in, and whether the Milwaukee Bucks ownership and front office is enough to take Giannis where he wants to go, which is clearly just winning a NBA championship. If Giannis Antetokounmpo was on the Toronto Raptors last year and he was in Kawhi Leonard's situation, I firmly believe that he would stay on the Toronto Raptors. All this guy wants to do is win, and it's very clear that that's his only goal. So is Giannis's front office putting him in the best position to succeed? Well, let's look at all the draft picks that have been made ever since Giannis Antetokounmpo was drafted in 2013. The very next year, they drafted Jabari Parker, then Rashad Vaughn, Thon Maker, DJ Wilson, and Dante DiVincenzo. Now, let's not forget that they also drafted Malcolm Brogdon in the second round. And although I don't really fault the Milwaukee Bucks for selecting Jabari Parker, because the career that Jabari Parker had was the career many people thought Joel Embiid would have, because he was the one mainly with the injury issues coming out of the 2014 NBA draft. Honestly, I said many times I thought Jabari Parker was going to be Tim Duncan in a small forward's body, or a small forward based Tim Duncan, pretty much a very fundamentally sound small forward. It appears as though the Milwaukee Bucks and myself have missed, and that's mainly due to Jabari Parker's injury issues. Now he's known to be a above average scorer who's also a major defensive liability. And honestly, my heart goes out to him. Everyone knows that I have a huge soft spot for Jabari Parker. But for the most part, you guys can see that the Milwaukee Bucks, in terms of their drafting, ever since Giannis, they didn't really do a good job getting him additional talent. Yes, they drafted Malcolm Brogdon, but later on, they kind of botched the Malcolm Brogdon situation when they decided to let him walk. And when you decide to let Malcolm Brogdon walk, this is a critical point in your franchise's history, because now you're conveying the message that, look, we know we have a very talented two-way point guard that without a doubt is probably one of the most important players on our entire franchise. But the thing is, we are not willing to pay the luxury tax to go all in on winning a championship, and for that reason, we're going to let Malcolm Brogdon walk. And when that happens, you're giving Giannis a clear message that, hey, winning is not necessarily the most important thing. Paying the luxury tax is not worth it for us. What we care about the most is making sure our franchise is profitable. And you have to understand, you kind of lose the moral high ground with your star when you're a billionaire owner who receives hundreds of millions of dollars in public money for a stadium and refuses to reinvest even a fraction of that into the team. And there's one thing Giannis could do in order to exert his power to make this change, and that's the fact that he needs to leverage the fact that he makes the team significantly more valuable. As a matter of fact, according to Forbes, the Bucks owners were able to buy the team for $550 million in Giannis's rookie season. They are now worth $1.6 billion. And that is all because of Giannis. So Giannis has to acknowledge the fact that he has that type of leverage over the Milwaukee Bucks. But even furthermore, the issue with the Malcolm Brogdon situation is if you were able to sign and match the contract that Malcolm Brogdon got from the Indiana Pacers, which would have been $21.3 million, then you would have opened the window to make some pretty interesting trades. For example, it would be very easy to package Malcolm Brogdon and, say, Brook Lopez and George Hill, and maybe throw on some extra first-round pick and send that over to the OKC Thunder to get Chris Paul, who is currently making $41 million this year. A team of Chris Paul, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Chris Middleton is a team that could definitely contend for an NBA championship. When Giannis isn't solely responsible for making plays for the entire team, the pressure is off of his shoulders, he might be more available defensively, and then you could start seeing him play like the Defensive Player of the Year that he was awarded in the playoffs. And then furthermore, there's another issue at bay, and that's whether Mike Budenholzer is the true coach that could take the Milwaukee Bucks where they need to go. If you remember, after Game 1, there was a famous moment where Jimmy Butler scored 40 points on 13 of 20 shooting. And the crazy thing is, NBA Twitter was going nuts because you have the Defensive Player of the Year on your team. He's technically a wing, and you put him on Jay Crowder as opposed to putting him on the team, on the player that's lighting up your entire team. And when Giannis was asked whether he even thought of guarding Jimmy Butler, he responded by saying,
to guard him?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Why would you ask that?
Is that something you want to do going forward?
No, I'll do whatever coach tells me to do.
why would you ask me that? I'll do whatever coach wants me to do. And he got a lot of heat for this, but at the same time, I think it's even admirable because what he's trying to say is, I trust my coach, and I trust Mike Budenholzer. And it's easy to see why, because before Mike Budenholzer, the Bucks were just fighting to make it to the playoffs. Now they're trying to fight for an NBA championship. But there are subtle tones that Giannis might not fully trust Mike Budenholzer, because after Game 3, he was asked, hey, you only played 35 minutes. Do you think you could have played more? And he said, yeah, I feel great. I could definitely play more. Well, obviously that aged a little bit poorly because, well, we all know that Giannis is dealing with a hamstring issue currently. But back to Coach Bud, there's an issue that I personally have with him, and it's nothing to do with his scheme. I know he kind of altered his scheme to make it work with the Milwaukee Bucks. He was running more of a motion offense with the Atlanta Hawks, which is what he learned under Greg Popovich. But when you have a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo, the motion offense isn't going to work with him because he's not really that phenomenal of a shooter. If you look at the Miami Heat, they kind of run a similar version of the motion offense under Eric Spoelstra, and it works because everyone on the floor, except for Bam Adebayo, maybe occasionally he could, but everyone on the floor could shoot. Every single player on that team could shoot, and if you're overcommitting to guarding the players that could shoot, then you have Bam Adebayo that could go and catch an easy lob. But Coach Bud clearly went ahead and changed up some of his offensive schemes. As a result, the offense could be a little bit stagnant without Giannis on the floor, and especially without Chris Middleton on the floor. And it took a little while for Coach Bud to realize that the Bucks had a net rating of plus 0.3 with Chris Middleton on the floor and a minus 27.1 without him. And the thing that's so crazy to me is the fact that Coach Bud didn't take the time to extend Chris Middleton's playing time until game 4 of the series. And that's problematic because now you're down 3-0. Well, then you go down 3-1, and now you pretty much dig a hole for yourself. So this is what you have to keep in mind when you're Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have a head coach that is definitely above average, but still makes some mistakes when it comes to adjustments. Don't get me wrong, I think Coach Bud's a phenomenal coach. It's just when you are not capable of making those key adjustments in playoff games, then that's going to be your fall. That's going to be the reason you're not winning championships. You look at a head coach like Erik Spoelstra, this is a lineup management master over here. This is the man that literally put his foot forward and tried to start positionless basketball, and he doesn't get enough credit for doing so. But also, if you're Giannis, you have to bear in mind that the Milwaukee Bucks didn't match Malcolm Brogdon's contract. They're not willing to pay the luxury tax. So with that being said, do you really want to commit yourself to a team that is clearly hitting a wall, that is clearly worse than they were last year, that doesn't seem super committed to winning? Bear in mind that last year LeBron James left the East and the Bucks weren't able to win. This year, Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James aren't in the East, and you're about to lose to a team that, of course, a remarkable team, but a team whose main star is Jimmy Butler. There's no doubt in my mind the East is significantly weaker this year. If you cannot win this year, that means there might be a problem with your team. There could be an issue with your team, and you have to bear that in mind as you go into the offseason. So, what should Giannis Antetokounmpo do? Should he demand a trade? Should he sign the contract, the Supermax contract that he's about to get offered, but say, hey, if you want this to happen, I need you to get rid of Coach Bud, or I need you to bring another star. I need you to trade for Chris Paul. Bear in mind, if they want to trade for Chris Paul at this point, they'd have to pretty much gut out their entire roster. That means Brook Lopez, Eric Bledsoe, and George Hill will have to go. And that's another issue. Now you don't have a supporting cast as much, and you don't really have a great free agency period in order to sign those supporting cast members. So if you ask me at the end of the day, and this might have to be a 2-part video, I wouldn't blame Giannis for going over to the Golden State Warriors. Maybe I would kind of hold it against him if he joined the Miami Heat. I don't even think he's a really good fit for the Miami Heat, to be honest. But I wouldn't fault him for leaving his team, a team that doesn't seem that committed to winning. They had an opportunity and they've had chances, but based off of what they've been doing and based off of the language they've been showing and displaying, they don't seem super committed to winning. So I wouldn't blame him if he left. I wouldn't blame him if he went to the Warriors. Hell, maybe even if he tried to find a way to swing a trade to the Lakers, which I think is very, very unlikely, I wouldn't blame him. If he wants to try a way to get to the Miami Heat, I wouldn't blame him. I think the best possible fit, and probably the best way he could leave the Bucks without the entire NBA hating him, is if he decided to join the Toronto Raptors. That's a move that, and again, I doubt star players make decisions based off of what's going to cause NBA fans to like me the most. I think that if he leaves the Bucks and goes to the Raptors, he's clearly saying that I'm only in this to win. He's not really joining a super team. He's just going to be he's going to be a star player complemented with a remarkable cast of role players with really good coaching. Whenever you lose Kawhi Leonard and you keep your team relevant and you're able to win the 2020 Coach of the Year, that's saying something. When you're able to get the best out of Pascal Siakam when he was a player that was pretty much an afterthought, that is something to be respected. And I understand Mike Budenholzer has won Coach of the Year twice. And I understand Coach of the Year doesn't really mean that much. Honestly, there's been coaches like Byron Scott and Mike Brown and George Karl that have won Coach of the Year. But when you take everything into consideration, would you really hold it against Giannis Antetokounmpo for demanding a trade out of Milwaukee when they've let him down this much so far? Personally, I wouldn't. So let me know what you guys think about my take on the situation. Let me know in the comment section down below. And also let me know, where do you think it makes the most sense for Giannis to sign? I know this video didn't really do much in terms of speculating where he would sign. I just wanted you guys to really understand where Giannis was coming from. I wanted you guys to really get why he would leave. And it's not as cut and dry as, hey, my team sucks, I want to go to another team, or hey, I need more help, I need to go to another team. It's a little bit more deeper than that. So let me know what you guys think, and of course, drop a like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm going to drop our mic until our next upload.